Coach, as you look back on this past season, the COVID, everything that took place, what's your biggest takeaway, you think?
I don't know if it's just one thing. I think that as we take a step back and look at it, I'm really, really proud of and thankful to be part of such a great university and a great program that kept our guys safe, worked really hard to follow all the protocol, didn't cut any corners, but then also won a championship and had a chance to play in the national championship. Played really good against Clemson in the semifinal. Didn't end the way we wanted to. But I think, again, we did everything the right way. Came up a little short in the end, but a lot of life lessons learned. And again, I'm really, really proud of where we're at right now.
What did you learn in the national title game about your club, and how big is the gap? I remember when Urban was here, he put a sign up, the chase. I mean, Alabama was really good that night. How big is the gap?
I don't know. I think you're talking about two different lead-ins to the game. Spring practice, preseason camp, no football really for the whole month of September. 6 games leading up to the Big Ten championship game, and then we got guys in contact tracing, guys being pulled out, kind of out of rhythm. With the O-line, with the secondary, Justin really didn't practice leading up to the game. So then when you add all those things together, it's hard to get a feel for, what that really was. Because when you look at the Clemson game and the way we played against Clemson, I mean, we're on fire. I mean, that was the best version of the Ohio State Buckeyes this year. And 10 days later, we didn't play well. So first off, you can't take away anything from Bama. I mean, that obviously was a very good team. But we're not that far away, and I just think that two very different lead ups into the game, and they played well. We didn't, so got to own it and keep working on that and keep it as motivation as we work into next fall.
Not to make excuses, and you're not an excuse guy, but do you wish you could have been at full strength, because you weren't in that game, were you?
Yeah, I mean, I wish a lot of things, but like you said, there's nothing you can do about that. It is what it is, and if we were going to go like with the built-in excuses, so we would have shut down probably mid-October with all the things that gone on, just the way we had to go about our practice, the way we had to cancel practices, cancel games, all those things that came into the season. But what we try not to do is focus on any of those things and make any excuses or have any built-in excuses. So we're not going to. We played the season, we played that game, we got to own the game and learn from it.
How big of a loss, though, was Trey Sermon, losing him? I mean, give the fans an idea how much he was going to figure into the offense that night, and then all of a sudden, first play from scrimmage, you find out he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it was to say it was just another thing. We moved on. You can't say that. I mean, the way he was playing leading into that game, it hurt. It was like you go into the game. And the one thing I told the guys is no matter what happens and what you expect in this game, something different is going to happen. And then on the first play, he hurts his shoulder. He's out for the game. And then we had, a couple things in the adversity that went on, even early on in that game. But it hurt. So there's nothing we can do about it. We just had to move on, and we needed to play better.
As you look to going forward, a year ago, Clemson became the team you were chasing, and you were able to. Is that same thing going to happen this year as you guys get ready for the season? As the edge now, hey, Alabama's now what we're chasing?
Well, I think for our guys to go through the experience of last year, they know what it looks like and they know where they need to go. And there's a great benchmark for our guys now. There's a starting point in the season. So I think that's great. But it's all going to come down to hard work. It's all going to come down to the things that we did last year leading up to that Clemson game. But, I think when you look at that lead up to the Clemson game and the way we played in that game, it's easy to forget that because of the way the Alabama game went. But what a tremendous accomplishment for our guys after that whole year. And certainly we downplayed it a little bit, but that game, it did leave a bad taste in our mouth. And to avenge that loss and play the way we did, says a lot about our team and a lot about our culture. So we certainly don't need motivation, but that game going the way it does gives us a little bit of a feel for where we need to go.
Is there a fire? Do you see that fire again this year?
It was such a long season, and that Clemson game was so emotional. And then we really didn't get a chance to practice. We had one day in pads leading up to the Bama game. Justin really didn't practice much. We had some guys out, a bunch of contact tracing. And so then to get kind of everybody going in that national championship game, and by the time it was over, guys needed a break. It's just the way it was. And we're taking a break now. We're getting away from it, and then we're getting recharged as we head into February. It's just the way the season went. But it doesn't take long to get those batteries recharged again.
Moving forward, you've lost some big-time players, but you're getting some big-time players back. Olave, Haskell Garrett, Thayer Munford, Ruckert. How big is it getting those guys back?
Huge. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of them back. You talk about Tyreek Smith and Seven Banks and, like you said, Ruckert and Thayer. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys, Chris. And so to get those guys back, it means a lot to us in terms of leadership, because that's really, really important as you get into, certainly we got a long season. We got to start playing in Oregon and all those type of things early on, and then the Big Ten season. And that doesn't just happen now. You don't just all of a sudden win championships, and so we got to start right from square one and build it. But the leadership is where it's all going to start. That builds as you go. And then if you want to go win championships, your really good players have to play really well. And that's where we're going to have to count on these guys as we get going.
You got to replace a quarterback. You got 3 young kids. How will that race shape up? And what's the message to Buckeye Nation? You know how important that position is.
Well, I mean, I think, the quarterback at Ohio State is one of the most high-profile positions in all of sports. And we're going to have some young guys battling it out. I think when you look at college football and how things are going, if you're a 3rd or 4th year guy and you have a great season at Ohio State, you're going to have an opportunity to go play in the NFL and be a top 10 pick, or at least top 15, 20. And you have the option to do that. And so, like for Justin, how do you tell him not to go be a potential top 5 pick and walk away from all that money for he and his family? And that's hard. But at the same time, we only saw 2 years of him. We saw 1 year of Dwayne, and that's hard. But these guys are young, and so we can build with these guys. We can develop these guys, and there'll be some growing pains along the way, I'm sure. But everything you're investing in them, you're going to get back on the back end because they're still young. They're not into their 3rd and 4th year, and that's the idea. So a lot of hard work ahead of us, but these guys are going to compete and grind and develop, and then hopefully when this thing's all said and done, we got the next great quarterback at Ohio State.
You didn't get a spring practice last year for the most part. Is this the biggest, maybe one of the biggest springs, if not the biggest we've seen in years at Ohio State coming up?
I mean, I don't know. I think we have to be, creative on what we do in the spring, because we didn't play in 6 games last year. So how do we replicate the game, as many times as possible in the spring? And I think that's the challenge. I think to just go out there and do a bunch of individual drills, and I'm not sure that's the right mix for our guys, coming off of last year. So we're going to have great conversation about it, but every day has to, really count. And like you said, when you have those spring practices at the end of the week, if you have 3 practices or maybe 4 practices in a week, when that week's done, you got to have that in the bank so you can have it invested moving into the fall. And so those will be very important, like you said.
As you look at the spring, do you try to create a competition type deal for your quarterbacks, because you want to see those guys tested under fire, right? That's it.
And how do you create that? That's going to be the challenge for us, and we're not going to be in a stadium. We're not going to be in a game, but how do we create those competitive environments to find out how they do under fire?
Last couple things. State of the state of Ohio State football. What would you say to the fans the state of the state is?
Yeah, I mean, I totally, we all missed them. It was a long year without them, being around us and seeing them in the stands and all that. But, there's only been, you think about all the the different great Ohio State football teams that have come before, and how many have actually made it to the national championship game. And so with everything that we went through this season, season being canceled and games being canceled and all the things we went through, to get to the national championship game says a lot about who we are. And we didn't reach our goal, but I know that I've got so many text messages and calls and just about how classy and how we handled ourselves this year. And as the head football coach at Ohio State, I'm proud of that, because I know, our goal is to win the national championship every year, but it's also not at all costs. We want to do things the right way. We want to keep our kids safe. We want to handle things in a first-class manner, with humility, humanity, and I think we did that this year. And I'm proud of our staff. I'm proud of our players, proud of our leaders. And as we head into next year, we're going to keep swinging at this thing.
You got a taste of it. The kids got a taste of it. The old saying is, you don't rebuild, you reload at Ohio State. Can this team compete for the national title in 2021?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we got to develop some of the positions and find out where we're at. We're going to have to win that first game. We got a non-conference game in Oregon early on. It's going to be big. And then we have the Big Ten schedule. So we'll see. I mean, we got a long way to go. You can't, coming off of the national championship game and the CFP and all that, it's easy to just kind of go right to there. But there's a buildup, and we got a lot of really good teams in this league. And so we're going to have to play well and build as we go and grow as the season goes on. But we got some really good pieces coming back, some really good young guys. So it's an exciting time at Ohio State.
But the goal's still there. That's the goal, right?
It's always the goal. It's always the goal. And we have several goals along the way. Certainly you can't get to the final one if you don't, beat your rival. If we don't beat the team up north, then, none of this even matters. So, I mean, you got to do that. It doesn't just happen. And I know that Ohio State, Buckeye Nation's been a little bit spoiled here, that, the games have gone well for us over the last few years. But it doesn't mean it's just going to happen. And I think that's one of the things our guys have to really understand. Nothing's going to be given to us. We have a bigger target on our chest than ever around here. And we got to do it. We got to bring it one week at a time. And the good news is, like we talked about earlier, we have a kind of a launching point here, of that last game to give us an idea where we need to go to be great and to win the whole thing. And certainly that's our ultimate goal every year.
And unfortunately, COVID's gone nowhere. You guys have become experts. You pray for the day you don't have to wear a mask and all that business.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And one of the other challenges, just to be blunt, is that the protocols within the different conferences and what we did leading up to the CFP they were different. And so that's just what it was. Not making excuses, but it's different. And so hopefully, as we get going, we can have a little bit more equivalency in that area. That we're all kind of, hopefully we move on, maybe get some vaccines, however it's going to happen. And when that happens, we all kind of have the same type of protocol that we need to follow, which will go a long way for us as well.